neighbor because you've lived next to your neighbor for a long time. We didn't have that in this situation.
Police checked to see if Fran might have had help getting out of the condo.
We checked with all the cab companies in the area, the limousine companies in the area, the trains. We checked with all the trains. She just disappeared.
And with each passing day, police were growing more suspicious of John.
If we did not contact him, we had no contact with him. He was not calling on a daily basis to find out where the investigation was going, whether anything had been heard. He was being very evasive with us and with the family.
Dee Dee said John had promised her he would hang missing persons flyers all over town, but police doubted he had ever followed through.
We never saw him out there doing it, and we never saw any posters anywhere in the area whatsoever.
Investigators began to confide in Sherry and Dee Dee. They told them they were suspicious of John. It was enough to convince Sherry and Dee Dee to become amateur detectives. And their investigation had only one target, John Smith.
You thought he was the #1 suspect?
Absolutely. He was not number one, he was the only.
The suspect.
They devised a plan to get the proof. Dee Dee was going to win John's confidence and make him think she believed he was not responsible for Fran's disappearance. She talked with him daily.
Every weekday, John called me at 8:30 in the morning.
What would you talk about?
What he was doing in his part of the investigation, who he was seeing, who he was speaking to, what his involvement with law enforcement was. Everything that he would tell me, I would feed back to law enforcement. And what we found was everything he was telling me was a falsehood.
Normally, detectives try to keep the victim's family at a distance. But Sherry and Dee Dee refused to take no for an answer.
There was not going to be any holding them back. They were going to be involved in this investigation to the best of their ability, whether we accepted it or not. You know, and the wonderful thing is it was accepted. It was obvious that they could do some things to help us, and that they were willing to do that with the understanding that they could be without any direction from us. You know, they did some legwork that we couldn't do, located some people that we eventually would have located, I'm sure, but they just expedited the investigation in so many ways.
Dee Dee and Sherry traveled to New Jersey to meet with detectives face to face. When Dee Dee told John they were coming, he surprised her by inviting them to stay with him at the condo. Police warned that might be dangerous. But to Dee Dee and Sherry, it seemed like an opportunity. While John was at work, they meticulously went through the condo where Fran was last seen.
We took pictures, we documented everything, and Dee Dee had 200 missing persons flyers made. We found them in the bottom of the closet.
It was the first of many pieces of proof they would uncover. John had been lying to everyone for months. As Sherry and Dee Dee continued to dig, it became obvious Fran had not left on a trip.
What we found immediately was that the things that you would take if you were leaving, traveling, were still there. My mom's comb, her brush, her eyeglasses.
Dee Dee was emotionally overwhelmed by the experience.
I walked into the closet and I could smell her for the first time, you know, in 8 months. And I sank to my knees, I had to get myself together. And I said, okay, I've got to go through this to see what's missing.
What they found next seemed to confirm their worst fears.
That's when we went out onto the porch and opened up the storage room closet on the porch. And there were 2 yellow pieces of luggage.
They were the bags John said Fran had taken on her trip.
The best way to describe it is we walked in and everything was there but Fran. Everything was there but Fran.
The women met with detectives the next day and told them what they had found. Everyone was certain John had been involved in Fran's disappearance, but it wasn't enough to arrest him. During the meeting, an offhand remark by one of the detectives changed the course of the investigation. From what John told you, he had been a lifelong bachelor.
That's right.
What did the detectives tell you about that?
And he said, oh no, he's been married. And we were
And
shocked.
I argued with him. I said, no, he hasn't. The detective says, yeah, he has. I said, I looked at Dee Dee, and Dee Dee looked at me.
I was truly stunned, soaking it in. My aunt gained her composure back, and she said, have you spoken to that woman?
And what did the detectives say?
No. Can't find her.
Coming up, the brother of John Smith's first wife reveals a terrifying clue.
He said, lady, you got a problem. My sister disappeared in November of 1974, never to be seen again.